Thank you for tuning in to Playhouse on the Square's Holiday Radio Hour. You'll be hearing some holiday music from me, Brooke Papritz, and Nathan McHenry, along with readings of One Christmas Eve by Langston Hughes and The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry, featuring the voices of Marcus Cox, Courtney Oliver, Brooke Papritz, and Jason Eshevin. Special thanks to our sound engineer, Jason Eshevin, our super sponsor, Dr. Thomas Ratliff, and our friends at WKNO. From everyone here at Playhouse on the Square, happy holidays!
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la.
Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la.
Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la.
See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la.
Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la.
Hail the new year, lads and lasses, fa la 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 la.
Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la.
Fa la 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 la.
Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la.
Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la.
Deck the halls.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly.
'Tis the season to
La la
be
la la
jolly.
la la la.
You're gonna die.
'Tis the season to be jolly. La 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 la.
Let's be jolly. When you've grown up, my dears, and are as old as I, you'll often ponder on the years that roll so swiftly by, my dears, that roll so swiftly by, and of the many lands you will have journeyed through. You'll oft recall the best of all, the land your childhood knew. Your childhood knew. Twilight its borders you can ne'er return again. Here we come a-caroling among the leaves so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
We are not daily beggars who beg from door to door, but we are neighbors, children whom you have seen before.
Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too.
And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
God bless the master of this house, likewise the mistress too, and all the little children that round the table go. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too.
And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. And all your kin and kinfolk that dwell both far and near, we wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Love and joy come to you,
and to you glad Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. Oh, here we come a-caroling among the leaves so green.
Oh, here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too.
And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
And all your kin and kinfolk that dwell both far and near,
we wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Love and
joy come to you,
and to you glad Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy
new year.
This is Marcus Cox. And like most kids, the holidays were always fun when I was a child, and I especially loved thinking of Santa Claus coming to my house, dropping presents in my stockings, and giving me something really fun to look forward to on Christmas Day. But being a black child, especially growing up in the South, it was sometimes difficult to see that picture of Santa Claus as the jovial white man when I didn't really grow up seeing too many jovial white people. Now, I wasn't mistreated or anything like that, but it was still not as, I didn't see myself as much as maybe you do now. So my uncle used to tell me this story, One Christmas Eve by Langston Hughes, and he would sit me and my cousins down and read this story that really wasn't your typical Christmas story. I mean, it wasn't like the night before Christmas at all. But the reason that he would tell it to us was always to remind us that though having a Santa Claus is great and fun, it was still important for us little black kids to realize that sometimes things weren't as happy as they always seemed to be. But the story didn't make us sad. It just reminded us that it was really important for us to look out for one another. And that's why I like it. One Christmas Eve by Langston Hughes. Standing over the hot stove cooking supper, the colored maid Arcee was very tired. Between meals today, she had cleaned the whole house for the white family she worked for, getting ready for Christmas tomorrow. Now her back ached and her head felt faint from sheer fatigue. Well, She would be off in a little while, if only the missus and her 2 children would come on home to dinner. They were out shopping for more things for the tree, which stood already tinsel hung and lovely in the living room, waiting for its candles to be lighted. Arcee wished she could afford a tree for Joe. He'd never had one yet, and it's nice to have such things when you're little. Joe was 5, going on 6. Arcee, looking at the roast in the white folks' oven, wondered how much she could afford to spend tonight on toys. She only got $7 a week, and 4 of that for her room and the landlady's looking after Joe while Arcee was at work. Lord, it's more'n a notion raising a child, she thought. She looked at the clock on the kitchen table. After 7. What made white folks so darned inconsiderate? Why didn't they come on home to supper? They knew she wanted to get off before all the stores closed. She wouldn't have time to buy Joe nuttin' if they didn't hurry, and her landlady probably wanting to go out and shop too and not be bothered with little Joe. Doggone it, Arcee said to herself. If I just had my money, I might leave the supper on the stove for 'em. I just got to get to the stores 'fore they close. But she hadn't been paid for the week yet. The missus had promised to pay her Christmas Eve a day ahead or so. Arcee heard a door slam and talking and laughter in the front of the house. She went in and saw the missus and her kids shaking snow off their coats. It's swell for Christmas Eve, one of the kids said to Arcee. It's snowing like the deuce, and Mother came near driving through a stoplight. Can't hardly see for the snow. It's swell. Supper's ready, Arcee said. She was thinking of how her shoes weren't very good for walking in snow. It seemed like the white folks took as long as they could to eat that evening. While Arcee was washing dishes, the missus came out with her money. Arcee, the missus said, I'm so sorry, but would you mind if I just gave you $5 tonight? The children have made me run short of change buying presents and all. I'd like to have 7, Arcee said. I needs it. Well, I just haven't got 7, the missus said. I didn't know you'd want all of your money before the end of the week anyhow. I just haven't got it to spare. Arcee took 5. Coming out of the hot kitchen, she wrapped up as well as she could and hurried by the house where she roomed to get little Joe. At least he could look at the Christmas trees in the windows downtown. The landlady, a big light yellow woman, was in a bad humor. She said to Arcee, I thought you was come home early to get this child. I guess you know I want to go out too once in a while. Arcee didn't say anything, for if she had, the landlady would probably throw it up to her. She wasn't getting paid to look after a child both night and day. Come on, Joe, Arcee said to her son. Let us go out in the street. I hears they got a Santa Claus downtown, Joe said, wriggling into his worn little coat. I wants to see him. I don't know about that, his mother said. But hurry up and get your rubbers on. Stores will be closed directly. It was 6 or 8 blocks downtown. They trudged along through the falling snow, both of them a little cold, but the snow was pretty. The main street was hung with bright red and blue lights. In front of the city hall there was a Christmas tree, but it didn't have presents on it, only lights. In the store windows there were lots of toys for sale. Joe kept saying, Mama, I want. But Mama kept walking ahead. It was nearly 10 when the stores were due to close, and Arcee wanted to get Joe some cheap gloves and something to keep him warm, as well as a toy or two. She thought she might come across a rummage sale where they had children's clothes, and in the 10-cent store she could get some toys. Ooh, looky, little Joe kept saying, and pointing at things in the windows. How warm and pretty the lights were, and the shops, and the electric signs through the snow. It took Arcee more than $1 to get Joe's mittens and things he needed. In the A&P, Arcee bought a big bag of hard candies for 49 cents, and then she guided Joe through the crowd on the street until they came to the dime store. Near the 10-cent store, they passed a moving picture theater. Joe said he wanted to go in and see the movies. Arcee said, no, child. This ain't Baltimore, where they have shows for colored, too. In these here small towns, they don't let colored folks in. We can't go in there." "Oh," said Little Joe. In the 10-cent store, there was an awful crowd. R.C. told Joe to stand outside and wait for her. Keeping hold of him in the crowded store would be a job. Besides, she didn't want him to see what toys she was buying. They were to be a surprise from Santa Claus tomorrow. Little Joe stood outside the 10-cent store in the light, and the snow, and the people passing. Gee, Christmas was pretty. All tinsel and stars and cotton. And Santa Claus a-comin' from somewhere, dropping things in stockings, and all the people in the streets were carrying things, and the children looked happy. But Joe soon got tired of standing and thinking and waiting in front of the 10-cent store. There were so many things to look at in the other stores. He moved along up the block a little, and then a little more, walking and looking. In fact, he moved until he came to the White Folks Picture Show. In the lobby of the moving picture show, behind the plate glass doors, it was all warm and glowing and awful pretty. Joe stood looking in, and as he looked, his eyes began to make out, in their blazing beneath holly and colored streamers and the electric stars of the lobby, a marvelous Christmas tree. A group of children and grown-ups, white of course, were standing around the big jovial man in red beside the tree. Or was it a man? Little Joe's eyes opened wide. No, it was not a man at all. It was Santa Claus. Little Joe pushed open one of the glass doors and ran into the lobby of the White Moving Picture Show. Little Joe went right through the crowd and up to where he could get a good look at Santa Claus. And Santa Claus was giving away gifts, little presents for children, little boxes of animal crackers and stick candy canes. And behind him on the tree was a big sign, which Little Joe didn't know how to read. It said, "To those who understood, Merry Christmas from Santa Claus to our young patrons." Around the lobby, other signs said, "When you come out of the show, stop with your children and see our Santa Claus." And another announced, "Gem Theater makes its customers happy. See our Santa." And there was Santa Claus in a red suit and white beard, all sprinkled with tinsel snow. Around him were rattles and drums and rocking horses, which he was not giving away. But the signs on them said, could Little Joe have read, that they would be presented from the stage on Christmas Day to the holders of the lucky numbers. Tonight, Santa Claus was only giving away candy and stick candy canes and animal crackers to the kids. Joe would have liked terribly to have a stick candy cane. He came a little closer to Santa Claus until he was right in front of the crowd, and then Santa Claus saw Joe. Why is it that lots of white people always grin when they see a Negro child? Santa grinned. Everybody else grinned too, looking at little black Joe, who had no business in the lobby of a white theater. Then Santa Claus stooped down and slyly picked up one of his lucky number rattles, a great, big, loud tin-pan rattle such as they use in cabarets, and he shook it fiercely at Joe. That was funny. The white people laughed, kids and all, but Little Joe didn't laugh. He was scared. To the shaking of the big rattle, he turned and fled out of the warm lobby of the theater out into the street where the snow was and the people. Frightened by laughter, he had begun to cry. He went through looking for his mama. In his heart, he never thought Santa shook great rattles at children like that, and then laughed. In the crowd on the street, he went the wrong way. He couldn't find the 10-cent store or his mother. There were too many people, all white, moving like white shadows in the snow, a world of white people. It seemed to Joe an awfully long time till he suddenly saw R.C., dark and worried-looking, cut across the sidewalk through the passing crowd and grab him. Although her arms were full of packages, she still managed with one free hand to shake him until his teeth rattled. "Why didn't you stand where I left you?" R.C. demanded loudly. "Tired as I am, I got to run all over the streets in the night looking for you. I'm a great mind to wear you out." When Little Joe got his breath back on the way home, he told his mama he had been in the moving picture show. "But Santa Claus didn't give me nothing," Joe said tearfully. "He made a big noise at me and I runned out. "Serves you right," Arcee said, trudging through the snow. "You had no business in there. I told you to stay where I left you." "But I seed Santa Claus in there," Little Joe said, "so I went in." "That was no Santa Claus," Arcee explained. "If it was, he wouldn't have treated you like that. That's a theater for white folks. I told you once, and he's just an old white man." "Oh," said Little Joe. So Little Joe had himself a tough Christmas that year, and I certainly hope that they got better as the years went on. For me, as I got older, I started to see representations of myself in Santa Claus and all the other tropes of Christmas as well. And it certainly helped mold me into the person that I am. Now I look forward to the holidays, especially now that I have a family of my own. But stories like this one and many others help remind me that it's really important that, especially for my child and my family, that I remind them that Christmas is for everyone, but it definitely takes work. Happy holidays.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh, dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells and bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. A day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride, and soon Miss Fanny Bright was seated by my side. The horse was lean and lank, misfortune seemed to slack. He got into a drifted bank, and then we got upside. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun, oh, it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. A day or two ago, the story I must tell and sing this sleighing song. Just get a bobtailed bay, 240 at his speed. Hitch him to an open sleigh, and crack, you'll take the lead. Oh, jingle bells, oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun, oh, it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
The toy shop door is locked up tight, and everything is quiet for the night. When suddenly the clock strikes 12, the fun's begun. The dolls are in their best array. There's going to be a wonderful parade. Hark to the drum, oh, here they come, cries everyone. Hear them all cheering, now they are nearing. There's the captain as stiff as starch, bayonets flashing, music is crashing as the wooden soldiers march. Sabers are clinking, soldiers are winking at each pretty little maid. Here they come, here they come, wooden soldiers on parade. Here they are cheering, now they are nearing. There's the captain's fast start, bayonets flashing, music is crashing as the wooden soldiers march. Sabers are clinking, soldiers are winking at each pretty little maid. Here they come, here they come, wooden soldiers on parade. Wooden soldiers on parade.
to have a run about the hills and picked the daisies fine. We've wandered many weary foot since old Langside. Old Langside, my dear. Old Langside, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old Langside.
We too have paddled in the stream from morning sun to dine, but seas between us broad have roared since days of all lang syne. For
Langside, my dear. For old Langside, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old Langside. And there's a hand, my trusty friend, can give me hand of thine.
we'll take the right, good will drive for Langside. For
old Langside, my dear. For old Langside, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old Langside.
The Gift of the Magi is a short story by O. Henry, allegedly written at Pete's Tavern on Irving Place in New York City, and was initially published in the New York Sunday World under the title Gifts of the Magi on December 10th, 1905. $1.87. That was all. And 60 cents of it was in pennies. 3 times Della counted it. $1.87. And the next day would be Christmas. There was clearly nothing left to do but flop down on the shabby little couch and howl, so Della did. Which instigates the moral reflection that life is made up of sobs, sniffles, and smiles, with sniffles predominating. While the mistress of the home is gradually subsiding from the first stage to the second, let's take a look at the home. A furnished flat at $8 per week. It did not exactly beggar description. In the hall below was a letter box too small to hold a letter. There was an electric bell, but it could not make a sound. And there was a name beside the door, Mr. James Dillingham Young. When the name was placed there, Mr. James Dillingham Young was being paid $30 a week. Now, when he was only being paid $20 a week, the name seemed a little too long and important. It probably should have just been Mr. James D. Young. But when Mr. James Dillingham Young entered the furnished rooms, his name became very short indeed. Mrs. James Dillingham Young put her arms warmly around him and called him Jim. You've already met her. Her name is Della. Della finished her cry and attended to her cheeks with the powder rag. She stood by the window and looked out dully at a gray cat walking a gray fence in a gray backyard. Tomorrow would be Christmas Day, and she had only $1.87 with which to buy Jim a present. She had been saving every penny she could for months with this result. $20 a week doesn't go very far. Expenses had been greater than she calculated. They always are. Only $1.87 to buy a present for Jim. Her Jim. Many a happy hour she had spent planning for something nice for him. Something fine and rare and sterling. Something with just a little bit near to being worthy of the joy of being Jim's wife. There was a mirror between the windows of the room. It was very narrow. A person could only see a little of himself at a time. However, if he was very thin and moved quickly, he might be able to get a good view of himself. But Della, being quite thin, had mastered this art. Suddenly, she whirled from the window and stood before her mirror. Her eyes were shining brilliantly, but her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. Rapidly, she pulled down her hair and let it fall to its full length. Now, there were two possessions of the Youngs in which they both took a mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that had been his father's and his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. Had the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across the air shaft, Della would have let her hair hang out of the window some day to dry just to depreciate Her Majesty's jewels and gifts. Had King Solomon been the janitor, with all his treasures piled up in the basement, Jim would have pulled out his watch every time he passed, just to see him pluck at his beard from envy. So now, Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her. And then she did it up again nervously and quickly. Once she faltered for a minute and stood while a tear or two splashed on the worn carpet. On went her old brown jacket. On went her old brown hat. And with a whirl of skirts and with the brilliant sparkle still in her eyes, she cluttered out of the door and down the stairs to the street. Where she stopped, the sign read, Madame Sofronie, hair goods of all kinds. One floor up, Della ran, and, collecting herself, panting, Madame stood large and chilly, hardly looking like the Sofronie.
Will you buy my hair?
I buy hair. Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it. $20.
Give it to me quick.
Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. Forget the hashed metaphor. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. And she found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in any of the stores, and she turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple and chaste in design, properly proclaiming its value by substance alone and not by meretricious ornamentation, as all good things should do. It was even worthy of the watch. As soon as she saw it, she knew it must be Jim's. It was like him, quietness and value. The description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it, and she hurried home with the 87 cents. With that chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly on account of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way a little to prudence and reason. She got out her curling irons and lighted the gas and started to try to cover the sad marks of what she'd done. Love and large-hearted giving, when added together, can leave deep marks, which trying to cover is always a tremendous task, dear friends, a mammoth task. Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with tiny, close-lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror long, carefully and critically.
If Jim doesn't kill me before he takes a second look at me, he'll say I look like a Coney Island chorus girl. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do with $1.87?
At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was on the back of the stove, hot and ready to cook the pork chops. Jim was never late. Della doubled the fob chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. Then she heard his step on the stair away down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. She had a habit of saying little silent prayers about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered,
Please, God, make him think I'm still pretty.
The door opened and Jim stepped in and closed it. He looked thin and very serious. Poor fellow, he was only 22, and to be burdened with a family. He needed a new overcoat, and he has no gloves. Jim stepped inside the door as immovable as a setter at the scent of quail. His eyes were fixed upon Della, and there was an expression in them that she could not read, and it terrified her. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. He just simply stared at her fixedly with that peculiar expression on his face. Della wriggled off the table and went for him.
Jim, darling, don't look at me that way. I had my hair cut off and sold it because I couldn't live through Christmas without giving you a present. It'll grow again. You won't mind, will you? I just had to do it. My hair grows awfully fast. Oh, say Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy. You don't know what a beautiful, nice gift I've got for you.
You've cut off your hair.
Cut it off and sold it. Don't you like me just as well anyhow? I'm me without my hair, aren't I?
You say your hair is gone?
You needn't look for it. It's sold, I tell you. It's sold and gone, too. Oh, it's Christmas Eve. Be good to me, for it went for you. Maybe the hairs off my head were numbered, but nobody could ever count my love for you. Shall I put the chops on, Jim?
Out of his trance, Jim seemed quickly to wake. He enfolded his Della. For 10 seconds, let us regard with discreet scrutiny some inconsequential object in the other direction. $8 a week or $1 million a year? What's the difference? A mathematician or a wit would give you the wrong answer. The Magi brought valuable gifts, but that was not among them. This dark assertion will be illuminated later on. Jim drew a package from his overcoat pocket and threw it upon the table.
Don't make any mistake about me, Del. I don't think there's anything in the way of a haircut or a shave or shampoo that could make me love you any less. But if you'll unwrap that package, you may see why you had me going a while at first.
White fingers and nimble tore at the string and paper, and then an ecstatic scream of joy, and then, alas, a quick change to tears. For there lay the combs. A set of combs, side and back, that Della had worshipped for long in a Broadway window. Beautiful combs, pure tortoiseshell with jeweled rims, just the shade to wear in the beautiful vanished hair. They were expensive combs, she knew, and her heart had simply craved and yearned over them without the least hope of possession. And now, they were hers. But the tresses that should have adorned the coveted adornments were gone. But she hugged them to her, and at length she was able to look up with dim eyes and a smile and say,
My hair grows so fast, Jim. Oh, your gift.
Jim had not yet seen his beautiful present. She held it out to him eagerly upon her open palm. The dull, precious metal seemed to clash against the reflection of her bright and ardent spirit.
Oh, isn't it dandy, Jim? I hunted all over town to find it. You'll have to look at the time 100 times a day now. Oh, give me your watch. I want to see how it looks on it.
Instead of obeying, Jim tumbled down on the couch and put his hands under the back of his head, and he smiled.
Del, let's put our Christmas presents away and keep them a while. They're too nice to use just at present. I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs. And now, suppose you put the chops on.
The Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men, who brought gifts to the babe in the manger. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in case of duplication. And here I have related to you the uneventful chronicle of one young couple in a flat who most unwisely sacrifice for each other the greatest treasures of their house. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that of all those who give gifts, these two were the wisest. Of all who give and received gifts, such as they are wisest. Everywhere, they are the wisest. They are the Magi.
Caroling, caroling, now we go. Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling through the snow. Christmas bells are ringing. Joyous voices, sweet and clear, sing the sad of heart to cheer. Ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling through the town. Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling up and down. Christmas bells are ringing. Mark ye well the song we sing. Gladsome tidings now we bring. Ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling, now we go. Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling through the snow. Christmas bells are ringing. Joyous voices, sweet and clear, sing the sad of heart to cheer. Ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling through the town. Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling up and down. Oh, Christmas bells are ringing. Mark ye well the song we sing. Gladsome tidings now we bring. Ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing. Christmas bells, caroling, caroling. Oh, caroling, caroling. Caroling, caroling.
Jolly old Saint Nicholas, lean your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now, you dear old man, whisper what you'll bring to me. Tell me if you can. you'll pack your crib, all the stockings you will find hanging in a row. Mine will be the shortest one, you'll be sure to know. Johnny wants a pair of skates, Sally wants a sled, and Nellie wants a picture book, yellow, green, and red. Oh, as for me, my little brain isn't very bright. Oh, choose for me, old Santa Claus, what you think is right. Choose for me, old Santa Claus, what you think is right.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Good tidings we bring to you and your kin.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring some out here.
For we all like a figgy pudding. Yes, we all like a figgy pudding. We all like a figgy pudding with all this good cheer.
Good tidings we bring to you and your kin.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And we won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. So bring some out here. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. So bring some out here.
Good tidings we bring to you and your kin.
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And a Happy New Year. And a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas!
Thanks again for tuning in to Playhouse on the Square's Holiday Radio Hour. Special thanks to our participants, Marcus Cox, Courtney Oliver, Brooke Papritz, Nathan McHenry, and Jason Escherven. Special thanks to our sound engineer, Jason Escherven, our super sponsor, Dr. Thomas Ratliff, and our friends at WKNO. Once again, from everyone here at Playhouse on the Square, happy holidays!